Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're gonna try and get the fuel system done today because last week it left us hanging. We could not get this thing started. So this morning while I was sitting by the fire trying to warm up, we took the little check valve out of the back of that fuel pump, cleaned it all up, put just a dab of silicone because it's so corroded and put it back together. We need to let that sit a little bit. So what we're gonna do is, I got a 22.5 degree fitting to go into that fuel tank. Last time you saw, we put the barb fitting into the fuel tank. It's pointing up just a little too far, so we're gonna try this and see if it works. It may or may not, I don't know. But this will allow us to use the factory fill neck to put fuel into the tank. And then I can get a measurement from the fill neck of the tank all the way up. The fill neck on these things are crazy. The fuel tank's on the passenger side, but the fill neck, where you put the pump in, is on the driver's side. So it's like 6 feet away. So once we do this, we can get a measurement, figure out how much hose I need to buy, but we can also get this tank filled. We've got, I think, 10 or 15 gallons of diesel here we can get into the tank. And then we're gonna mount the fuel pump, which is over there on the floor, on the frame rail, get the hoses done, and the idea is we can prime this thing up for good. At least that's what we think. We'll get it all the way up, get all the air bled out, and then see if we can start this. It'll be first start, like number 6, I think, probably at that point. But if it runs, we're super excited. I have a whole lot of other stuff I can show you, but let's get some fuel in this thing so we can start it. So as I said in the other video, this little line here is emissions. We're not using it anymore, but we just plugged everything in to make it look nice. This line right here goes to this vent line up here somewhere. It's right there, you see it. This right here, and it's not glued, this is 3 individual pieces. But what I'm thinking is, if we take that out, I think that's almost perfect. It might be down just a touch, but what's your perspective? Can you see it better than I can?
It seems like it'll be fine.
I think that's gonna be way better than what we got.
Yeah.
So we're gonna unthread this. We're gonna look at threading it into here. These brake lines are gonna be a pain, but that's to be expected.
So here's the real test with that spin weld.
Yeah, right?
You know?
Now we're gonna unthread this.
We'll see if that spin welding was good.
And if it's not, we will redo it.
Look at that. Stayed right in there.
You know, we're using the proper tool for this, so. So we'll come out to the vise, we'll thread that into there, and then if that works how we want, I don't have the right glue for this ABS, I gotta grab some, but we can still put goop on that, thread it into here, put goop back on this, thread it in there. I think once it's all glued, that is gonna be perfect.
Goop, thread, repeat.
Goop, thread, repeat. Oh, I got piped up on my hand. I like it. Okay. So again, we haven't glued. We got to get the right glue. But that fits nicely like that. And I think once it's glued, I understand there's going to be a little bit of a dip. I probably need to replace these parking brake cables, and when I do, because of the lift, I might end up bringing them under here or somewhere else.
What makes you think you need to replace them? That one looks perfect.
That one, yeah, this one here is factory. Just don't look at that part right there. So, what my thinking is look at that. That's like factory. You knew that radiator hoses were also fuel fill hoses, right?
Yeah. They're all rated for fluid.
Look at that. Factory fill line right there. But that should do enough to at least get fuel into this tank.
All right, here we're gonna glue our fittings together. And it's not gonna be finalized yet, but we're close.
All right, well the battery died as we were gluing that first joint there. So then this one here, we're gonna glue just like that. Go in there.
Don't screw it up.
Is that pretty straight?
Yeah.
Say that looks pretty good.
Yeah. Here's Tim in a proud moment, bending his floor pans.
It's just a little tighter than I wanted. So we're just clearancing is all we're doing.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. It's actually not
So you can jack your car up from the bottom.
You can jack your car up from the floor fan, just so you know. It's always nice getting the steel braids to stick directly in your fingers. It feels really good.
That's how you know you've made connection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little big. But that's fine. Nothing a clamp won't fix. Hey, that works too. See? Self-sealing. Dude, I like that. We might have to shorten this, but for right now, it works just fine. So these two are at factory. We found, I know we have more of these, but these are what I found. So what we do is we slit that crimp, and then usually you can peel it off. Sometimes you got to slit it in 2 spots, but let's see if I can cut my finger off here. The trick is not hitting the piece of pipe that you want to save. There we go. And then usually it just breaks, just like that. And we need to do a 3rd spot so it'll come off. There we go. Put that right in the oil dryer. There. So now we can just put our hose on there, put a clamp on there, and that'll be more than adequate for what we're doing. Let's go ahead and get this 1/4 inch one done, because I think we're gonna want it. There we go. Sweet. Let's go back under the Jeep. Now obviously we could have gone to like a FAS or an Air Dog, but that's expensive and we have this, so we're adapting. And the way I'm doing this, we could easily change over if we wanted to, but it's really not hurting anything. So we'll tuck these lines up over here, and we'll take this fitting we just did, and we're gonna click it on here. Click, there we go. I think what we're gonna do is we'll do kind of like this angle right here. We'll find something to secure it so it's not rubbing, and then I like that. We're still not hanging down below everything, so we'll cut it right here. Good enough.
All right.
Yeah, we got to get a clamp on there, but I'm okay with that. Because the straight one would have brought it more down, but I like that. I like the way that turned out. Okay, return is done on this side, supply is done on this side. And now we need to get our filter bolted up in here and figure out how we're gonna hook onto the filter. I feel like we've done this a few times already. Return is tucked up over here. We need to deal with that before we put this filter on, I think. That's our return. That's this guy right here. We gotta get that tied in right here, and we're gonna use this guy right here, which just ever so, there we go. That's like perfect. But I think we're gonna have to do the same thing we did with these 2 fittings here, is we're gonna have to come up where this hose attaches. There we go. And we're gonna have to cut this crimp off and cut this crimp off, and actually put a new piece of hose on there, because this one actually needs to like S around, come back over here.
You should be.
There we go. And I'm gonna do the right thing, and we're just gonna reuse that. There. All right, we'll have to get a clamp on that. We have 2 layers of metal here. This is where the seam is joined. You can probably barely see the weld right there. What we found is this one washer fit really good. It's almost, not quite, but almost the same thickness of that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our long bolt and our short bolt. There we go. Okay. Look at that. We'll take our big washer. That's close enough. Let's get this hose on. What am I missing here, AJ?
I just put the bolts through the hole and then tighten it up. You're perfect.
Oh, there we go. I'm glad you said that. Now I got it all figured out.
Anytime.
I like that. I think that turned out really good. And once we get all done taking this apart and putting it together, this will get a new filter, and I have a block-off plate, so that'll gain me 1 1/4 right here, or a block-off plug, I should say. We'll get a new filter in here, but every time we open this up, we're putting debris in the system, so let's save the old ones until we're done with that. But,
Yeah, we've only opened it like 100 times already.
yeah, at least. So we need to get a clamp on here. We'll get clamps on here. Return line is done. What we have to do is we have to make this guy connect to this right here. And I think that we'll do the same thing we did over here, is we'll cut this off, but we're also going to cut it off here so we can make an S with that hose right into here. Oh, AJ. Because they just, when they make that fitting, they crimp it. So that lip that I just nicked could be a leak. That was nice. I hooked up my scanner to the ECM for the Duramax so we can watch line pressure. We've already bled, well, not bled, we primed the fuel system. Now that we got all that done with the fuel pump, I went ahead and hooked up our fuel pump relay, and it actually primed right up. That means it's drawing it out of the fuel tank. Through all that, it's working fantastic. So we'll get connected to the ECM here. Oh, we need to hook up our new battery. I picked up a Group 31 AGM battery. This thing is massive and actually cheaper than a lot of the other batteries. We're gonna piggyback it into the battery that AJ already has. Okay, key is on. Clutch pedal is pushed with our adjustable prop rod. Our new massive battery is tied in with the other battery, so it should give it more than enough juice. We've got the fuel system primed, at least we believe. We actually still have rail pressure. That's interesting. So we'll go ahead and turn the fuel pump back on. And then we'll give the starter solenoid a go. We're only hitting 700. Ah! It's running!
Woohoo! Oh, a little bit of air in the line, maybe?
Okay, go ahead and see if it'll turn off with the key.
Okay.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is awesome. I just turned it back on, Tim.
Okay, you turn the key back on?
Yep.
All right, let's make another go at this. Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
That's exciting.
That is exciting. Just go hit the gas pedal once. It runs. All right, that's fantastic. We obviously don't have it starting by the key yet, but it turns off by the key. So that is a step in the right direction. Our issue before was we just didn't have enough battery for as cold as it was, and we didn't have good solid fuel. Now we have good solid fuel. Oh man, that's exciting. To make clearance for the massive flywheel these have, we got these spacers I've seen a couple other guys use, and due to these spacers, the alignment dowels aren't long enough. So it comes with longer dowels, and these actually didn't come out as bad as I thought. AJ said we were gonna have to pull the motor, and I said negative. We just pulled the flywheel and we got them out. Now we're gonna.
Tim used his brute force.
Yes, brute force. Brute force. I got my purse out. So now we're gonna try and drive these new ones in. They're very hot. AJ just shortened it for me because it was way too big, or way too long. It's not straight. There we go. That sounds pretty solid. It's not straight though. It's not really. Not
Blame
really.
the guy that put the bevel on it.
Huh? Yeah, I'll blame the guy that put the bevel on it.
Right.
But that's all right. Okay, where's the other one? You said that's super hot too, so let's go ahead and put that in there. There, that's perfect. Jeez, oh Pete. A lot of good alignment pins there are when they don't go in straight. I think that looks good. There. And this is in two halves. We have this other half right here. We slide in from the bottom, just like that. The next thing we got to do is we got to put that flywheel back in. All right, here we go. All right, we are going to have to figure something out for our pilot bushing. I don't have an answer yet. I think that's going to be too far in, but this transmission is not really that hard to pull. So we're just going to wing it. So what I've done is this is the correct clutch disc for that transmission, and this is the correct flywheel and pressure plate for the Duramax. Oh, there we go. And when you line it up better, it does work. Works a lot better when you line it up properly. So 2 of them are too long, and I knew that, and they're actually bottoming out, so we do need to trim this bolt and this bolt. I thought they were gonna work, but I was clearly wrong. We weren't able to film much of this because we made the mistake, or I made the mistake of trying to put the transmission in with the transfer case on, and it was a nightmare. We won't do that again. It is in, and yeah, it's not bad. I think there's a couple things we're gonna have to work on. We already know this is gonna be pretty simple. We'll just go ahead and put an L bracket for this motor mount. We'll use the GM motor mount right here, or transmission mount, I'm sorry. We'll just put a piece of angle iron right here and weld it to the side. That'll be perfect for what this is. I think there's too much tension on the hydraulic throwout bearing. I think it's actually pushing on the clutch right now. We'll figure that out. The shifter on this transmission, it's a different one. It's actually out of a newer S10, is not in front of the hole, the shifter hole. It's behind the shifter hole. Not the end of the world. Happy with the way this all turned out. We're gonna put the drive shaft in, and we're gonna kind of measure. I have a yoke for the rear axle, a new yoke that'll have a U-joint instead of the CV shaft, and then we need to measure for that, the fuel fill neck, the fuel fill hose. Overall, it's actually feeling like we made some progress today. It doesn't show much on the video, but the fact that we started the engine is fantastic. We just gotta fine tune this a little bit more. It's not bad. It's exciting.
So we just hooked up the transmission, and we want to see if the flywheel's rubbing anything. We've got that spacer in there, but we're going to start it up, see if we hear any weird noises.
Dude,
it sounds great. I don't hear any weird noises.
No, that's so good. Well, you guys saw it. It is finally running with the fuel system mostly complete. It starts, we still got to get that part of the wiring done, but it turns off with the key of the Jeep. That's exciting. That's a step in the right direction. We have some cleaning up to do. Not that big of a deal now. We're moving. The transmission is in, probably not for the last time. No funny noises, so that's a plus. We're checking things off the list one at a time. Even if they need a little bit of fine tuning, we're checking them off the list. We're moving. With this transfer case in, we're gonna slide a drive shaft in. I have a yoke for it, and we're gonna get an idea of how long this drive shaft needs to be so we can look at getting one shortened that much closer to driving this thing. We'll get the fuel fill neck done so we can put some more fuel in it, but it's drawing, you saw it, it's drawing out of the fuel tank. Absolutely exciting. So if you haven't seen any other videos on this, you got to go check them out. We've made so much progress, even though it's taking forever. At least that's what it feels like. Check those out. Check out our other builds. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.